Hello everyone, it's DiFusionGaming here for another episode of TWD. Now in this episode, I'm going to be talking about my terrible foods class. This took place when I was in grade 12, and it was a grade 11-12 split class. Now the main reason why the class is terrible is because I had terrible partners. And just so you know, in high school, when you took foods, you get partners at the beginning of the year, or the beginning of the class, and you'd have them for every class. So if you get a bad partner, you're stuck with that bad partner the whole time. But yes, get right into it. So yeah, like I said, these are the worst partners. Both of them were in grade 11, by the way, so I didn't really know any of them. And one of the reasons why they were so bad is they were always late, and they didn't even show up lots of the time. So whenever they didn't show up, I would have to join other groups. There's always this one group I would have to join when they weren't there, and those people were also in grade 11, so I didn't know them either. And sometimes I wouldn't be put into another group, and I would just be all alone, cooking something that's meant to be cooked in a group. So that would be kind of a challenge. Sometimes the class would be over, and I'd still be in there finishing up, and everyone else would just be out of the classroom. So yeah, that was kind of annoying. But whenever I was left alone, I always managed to finish everything before the next class started. And that also includes washing everything, so you have to wash your own dishes. Now there are two annoying partners in this group. And my creative mind will call the first partner, Partner A. We actually did work very well together, me and Partner A. But he wasn't very annoying. It was more that his friends were annoying. Around the end of each class, he would have a group of friends that would just show up in class and just be there. Like one time he had up to 4 people showing up to class, and they took up all the seats. There was like a small circle table the group would sit at, and the whole thing is crowded, and they'd be taking chairs from like other people's groups, and it was terrible. And there were many times when they showed up, they would just take the food that we just made. It's like usually it would be split up between the 3 of us, because there are 3 partners including me. But when like 4 other people showed up, it's like split up between everyone. And I wasn't really a fan of that. But yeah, they were just kind of annoying. Now is Partner B. Very creative name. Now he was probably the worst partner in the whole class. He was mostly annoying when there was like not all 3 of us there. Though he was always annoying, but when it was just me and him, he would be extra annoying for some reason. Yeah, I have a few interesting stories with him, so I'll get into some of those. Now there was one time we were following a recipe, we were making something in foods class. And I noticed he was about to do something off of the recipe, like something wrong. So I made sure he didn't make that mistake, and then he got really grumpy and sat down at the table and then started playing his phone for the rest of class. And then he yelled out, "What do I know?" And really loud, so I think the whole class could hear. So it's like, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. And there was another time where I suggested getting the water boiling before we got the ingredients because the water can take quite a while to get boiling. So it's like, okay, might as well spend the time, might as well get some of the water boiling while we get the ingredients, because it takes a while to get the ingredients, and you might as well do both at the same time. And then, I don't know why, he just freaked out. And he's talking about how we have to get the ingredients first. He's talking about how getting the water boiling first is slower. And then after he said that, I looked at the other stations, and I see everyone else is getting the water boiling first. It was like, yeah, we were one of the last groups done that time. I suggest the same kind of things when all 3 of us are there, but only when it's just the 2 of us, he's not okay with it. I don't know why. And there are some stories that are similar to this, but I won't go through all of them. Come to think of it, I think he might have some anger issues. Now here's something that happened when all 3 of us were there. Partner B said, "I just want both of you to know, I hate both of you." That was kind of unexpected. And then Partner A said, "That's probably why we work so well together. Because we are almost always the first group done." So yeah, that was a very interesting moment. Like, all 3 of us were not really saying anything at the time, and he just kind of said that out of nowhere. Alright, enough of the students for now. Now let's move on to the teacher. So just so you know, there's a usual teacher that teaches the food classes. But for some reason on this class, it was like the teacher wasn't there, so we had a different teacher than normal. And this teacher does things differently. The normal teacher would do a clean check to make sure all the stations are clean before you can go. But the new teacher didn't do that. We still did have to clean, but there wouldn't be a clean check. And because of that, other groups, like in other classes, did a terrible job at cleaning. Like, there are so many times when I get to the class and everything is dirty. There's like flour all over the counters, there's dishes in the sink, and there's like crumbs all over, and crumbs and garbage all over the desk or the table. It was awful. So there are many times where we have to clean some stuff before even cooking. There are many people in the class who'd always, like every day, they would always complain about how it's always dirty and how she should do clean checks. But the teacher never did anything about it. Though sometimes we would be allowed to leave early when we're done. So that's good. There are many times in foods class where we would be watching a documentary or something. But the only problem with that is, half the documentaries we watched weren't even related to food at all. Like, we did watch some documentaries that were related to food, but one time we watched a documentary that was talking about how the brain works. Like, what? I thought this was foods class. And there are even times where we had to do some English assignments. Like, we would be writing paragraphs on the documentaries, which is like, yeah. Am I in the right class? Around the end of the year, the part student A and student B both just kind of stopped coming to school. First, student A stopped coming, and then student B stopped coming. But luckily, before they both left, a new student showed up, so I wasn't left all alone. This student was an exchange student from China, so sometimes we didn't really have the best time understanding each other. But by far, he was the best partner in foods that year. He wasn't really annoying, he always came to class, though he was late sometimes. There was this one time where he asked me if this was a safe place to live, and then I said, "Nowhere is safe." I don't know why I whispered that. I don't know, it just kind of happened. On the very last cooking day, there was a project that all the groups in the class were kind of working on together. Everyone would be assigned like a different food. And then once we're all done making it, we all put it together and basically have this big lunch with everyone. So I could take some of what everyone else made, and they could take what we made. And this one day, the partner C brought 3 more exchange students, which I assume were his friends, to the class. And when we were all done cooking, all 4 of them were all talking like in a different language, I assume Chinese. And I had no clue what they were saying most of the time. When his friends did show up, they did help cook, so I mean, that sped up the process. But when we actually started eating, they started talking in a different language, and I had no clue what they were saying. But yeah, that was last cooking day. Then there was like another cleaning day. But I think that's all I really had to say. I could be missing something. There were some other smaller stories, but they're all really similar to some other ones I said, so I won't bother. But yeah, that's going to be on this episode of TWD. Hope you enjoyed. And for the question, have you ever had any annoying partners in school? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that's going to be it, so goodbye.